Now, the World Bank has approved 3 new projects for Nigeria, totaling $1.57 billion in financing. According to a statement released today by the World Bank Nigeria, the new funding will support the country in addressing governance challenges in education and healthcare. The intervention fund is targeted at improving primary healthcare services and increasing resilience to climate change through enhanced dam safety and irrigation infrastructure. The approval made on September 26 highlights the World Bank's commitment to strengthening Nigeria's human capital and building resilience in the face of climate threats. Arise business analyst Mbonu joins me now to discuss these developments further. Good morning.
Boston, how are you?
Let's have you. Let's start with the hottest, the breakfast. $1.57 billion is served by the World Bank. It's $1.57 billion served. You've been served. We need the money.
We need the money. I mean, it's good, nice that World Bank has been generous to us and it's considered us worthy for further lending. This comes, as it comes into a Nigerian pool, it helps us in several ways. First of all, it's coming in dollars. So the $1.57 billion will, of course, go to boosting our reserves before it moves into Naira, the Naira currency.
And going to those projects.
And go into those projects.
As stipulated.
As stipulated. But that's where the problem starts.
As stipulated.
As stipulated,
as indicated. Because the project is coming from health care,
education,
dams, and irrigation.
Let's look at primary health care, for example. This money will pass through our system now, yet we still remain the capital of the world in infant mortality.
Yes, infant mortality.
Pregnancy, prenatal death for women on pregnancy.
Yes.
And so you ask sometimes, what happens? Where is this money going to? Education support. You still go around and find Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children.
Yes, we saw that.
So where's the money going?
Yes, girls.
So where's the money going to? Now, but the other plus here is that you know what happened in Maiduguri of late.
Yes,
the flooding Maiduguri,
the
dams and whatever.
So
the elements, third part of this request money is the support for dam strengthening. To strengthen climate.
That's a committee that's been put together to go around and assess all the 30, 40 something dams or whatever we have in Nigeria.
Yeah, but the ones out of control is when the neighboring countries like Cameroon release the water from their own dams, and we're just there in the lower plain receiving the water. That's where the problem is. But I mean, as you say, commendable. But again, Nigeria
commendable on the side of the giver.
The giver, but the historical
now
the
taker.
Nigeria, we have gone into problems utilization. As the water would use again, as directed or as
stipulated.
As stipulated.
Are you sure that some folks are not sitting down and saying, corn has landed? In a manner of speaking. Yeah, so that 2 years down the line,
we just have
$1.57 billion.
This kind of project in the past have been buffeted by issue of misallocation of the funds, misappropriation of the funds, misuse of the funds, lack of value for money spending. Those have been the issues that have been sought this kind of money in the past. And we hope that this time in this dire stress of our country, that we hope that this will be used judiciously.
But do you think that we've gotten enough help so far over the years, over the decades, from the World Bank, MIGA, IFC, the private sector part, the whatever part, bilateral, that by now we ought to be able to have fixed this?
I mean,
$1.57 billion is
a lot of money. I was looking through, Nigerians are very interesting people. I was looking through some comments on this news.
Social media this morning.
People are saying $1 billion in some people's pocket, $500 million in maybe for the projects. So, because people are already
doing the math.
Allocating it. And that has been the problem for our country.
On social media.
As you mentioned, MIGA, World Bank, IFC, there's so many funds coming to the country. Yet, primary school enrollment is a problem. Infant mortality is a problem. Prenatal death is a problem. Everything. There's no sector of the country where they are not giving us money. So one day, I hope that we'll get it right.
I don't want to say the next thing, so let's move to the next story.
Yeah,
but no, I'm not going to say what I want to say. But I'm just going to move on. But I know what I want to say. But why do you think the central bank is extending the suspension of this
the cash?
The cash deposit to March?
It's interesting because a lot of times you look at the central bank and you say, oh, man, you slap somebody with one hand, you hug the person with the other hand. I mean, if you take the step back and see how this kind of policy started, remember when we started the cashless policy in the country, where the objective was to reduce the amount of cash in our system and then move people toward the digital channels. And as a form of discouragement from people handling cash, those charges were introduced. Yeah. Up to $500,000 above for individuals, you're going to pay 500,000 naira. You're going to pay 2%. 3 million above for the corporates, you're going to pay 3% for any lodgement, and that was it. And again, down the line during the change of currency, remember, again it was suspended because the cash suddenly dried up in the system. And you remember what happened that time when they were trying to change the new notes? We found so many warehouses filled with currencies. Suddenly. So the issue is, I guess, you have to encourage people. And if you've been following the news, you would have seen that in the last 3 months, there have been paucity of cash at the ATMs. A lot of banks don't have cash, and customers have been complaining about lack of cash. I have a feeling that if you look at the cash that's out of the banking system, in the warehouses, under the beds, in the mattresses, maybe that's why Central Bank is encouraging people, bring this money into the system. We'll not charge you anything for bringing them to pay,
no penalty, whatever.
No penalty in paying them, lodging them to the banks.
So this is just another way, so let's extend it. You think the Central Bank believes there is still a lot of money under the pillows, under the table, wherever?
The report says that because a lot of money, the trillions of money are still outside the banking system, but are actually in cash, out of cash in circulation, but cash in hand with individuals.
I'm trying to understand it. But I should be able to understand that. It's a highly political, whatever environment.
The only way you can know to validate it is that time when they were trying to move to the new notes, you saw the amount of currency in so many warehouses. That will tell you the amount of cash holding a lot of people are holding. Remember that tie this into something we talked about, like the NFIU, Nigerian Financial Intelligence Union,
exactly,
that wanted the subnational government to stop paying cash. Yes. You are amazed if you go to the banks, the amount of cash state governments withdraw, local governments withdraw. They almost pay everything. It's cash. I guess it's easier to do certain things when it is.
Where cash is?
When cash is involved, cash doesn't leave a trail.
CRR policy by the central bank to 50%. Do you think this would also help?
I guess
curtail.
By the time the central bank, moderates inflation in Nigeria, I believe every Nigerian would be almost an economist, because we have, you and me, in your 7 o'clock program, you have punched this CRR, I have punched it several times, and so on and so forth. But for our viewers, the CRR is a cash reserve ratio. Basically what it says is that, if banks bring 100 naira deposit, the central bank, through cash reserve ratio, takes a portion of it and hold it in cash. Initially, by the time card also came in, it was about 32 naira. For every 1 naira you bring in, they got about 32 naira, 50 kobo there. And then, so what happens is that the balance of 67 naira, 50 kobo is what is available for the bank to lend. So they increased it to 45%, and now increased it to 50%. 50% means that, let me explain it for our viewers again once more.
100 naira.
If you bring 100 naira into the banking system,
Central Bank takes 50
Central
naira.
Bank holds 50 naira. They don't pay anything for it. Meanwhile, remember I paid interest on the 100 naira.
Just sterilize the 50 naira.
50 naira. And you can only lend from 50 naira. So it means that if you are paying 8% on the 100 naira that you brought in,
yes,
you can only lend 50 naira. That 50 naira,
out of the 100.
You're out of the 100. You're actually paying 16% on it.
So as a former banker, you just extrapolate the figure.
Yeah, but you see, the interesting thing is this, that if you need to look at the impact of this, look at this. 26.7 trillion is the current position at the end of August, centralized in central bank. Let's use the national NTB rate yield at 25%. If you apply it to that, it's about 6.7 trillion. If you check that in 2023, the top 5 banks in the country did about 9.5 trillion combined revenue.
Yeah.
It tells you the impact of this, how big this is.
Yes.
Almost more than 2/3 of the revenues of the top 5 banks in the country is centralized. But it's all required, as I said certainly in this program, that when inflation is run away, you need to do everything to hold it. For price stability, is the number one in every economy.
Well, the central bank says they're not stepping back on that. But that's their whole mandate, and that's what they're going to keep to. And that's what they just said. Thank you so much, Mbonu.
Thank you,
bright and early on Monday. Thank you. It's the last Monday of the month, by the way.
So
exactly.
Yes, so
tomorrow is Independence
Day.
Exactly.
Happy Nigeria. Happy Nigeria.
You're thinking about it?
Yes, we're a happy country. We have another country, but our country, Nigeria. I'm proud to be a Nigerian any day.
Hang it in there.
Thank you, bro.
End of discussion. Mbonu, Arise Business Analyst.